All right, first of all, thank you, Eric, for having me here. All right. Hey guys, I guess I'll introduce myself. But
Go ahead.
yeah, hey guys, just to introduce myself, I'm Anthony Bui-Tran. I was born here in San Jose, but unfortunately, my family packed their bags and we moved to Texas when I was in second grade. I always wonder what my life would have been like if I grew up in the Bay Area versus like growing up in Texas. So things could have been a lot different. But nevertheless, I am back here thanks to, Eric, FeedbackWhiz, and OFX. It's such an honor to be back here in my hometown. Most of my family is actually here, and it's been like 3 years since I've seen them, so good excuse to come back, say hi, and it's really interesting now to come back with a different story, right? Last time I saw my family, I was, still working a corporate job, and I was just out of college, and then so now things have change, for the better. And it's been really, really exciting, and I feel like more alive, So that's kind of where we are today. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks for coming. We'll take a seat and pretty much get started. You kind of touched upon a little bit about your backstory, right? And just so you guys know, in terms of context, Anthony himself runs one of the largest Amazon seller groups on Facebook, and it's actually how I met him, is because he was already producing like YouTube videos and teaching people how to sell on Amazon, and not as a very, one of those like sleazy sales guru type thing. It's just, this is how I'm doing things. This is how I'm running Amazon, finding all these different solutions just in order to help people. So I found him to be one of the most genuine guys, and I had an opportunity to meet you at a mastermind event, and then we got to get to know each other better, and so it's been fun getting to know him and see him throughout this journey as well. So I'm personally just very excited to have you here. Come out and meet the local people that are selling on Amazon or interested in selling on Amazon, and so we'll love to get started. So we'll go into your kind of a backstory. You mentioned you were already working, or 3 years ago you were working, but your journey as an entrepreneur technically started even before that. If you want to share more about that.
Yeah, so my Amazon journey started my senior year of college. So I'm 26 now, so about graduated college December of 2015. But that last semester of college, I was doing retail arbitrage, right? Actually, real quick, so just again, could I see the number of people that are currently selling on Amazon? All right. How many of you guys have sold for over a year? Yeah. Okay. How many of you guys have sold over 2 years? Okay, cool. And then how many of you guys have not sold on Amazon at all and are looking to get started? Okay, cool. Because I just want to ask just so I can make sure I can like really clarify my story and everyone here in the audience, right? So I started as a college student doing this thing called retail arbitrage, where you go inside stores, you buy like different things, and you just flip it on Amazon. And that's how I got introduced into the world of Amazon. And then through there, I realized that, there's different business models on Amazon. There's retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale, and then there's private label. So private label is what I mainly do now. And with private label, it's, you import stuff from Asia. It's mainly China. I do Korea too now, actually. You import your own products, and then you just sell it online, primarily through Amazon, right? And through this method, I realized that, it just somehow like kind of clicked and worked for me. But I didn't start off with that. I started off with retail arbitrage in college because I didn't have a lot of money in my names. But that first semester as a college student, I turned $2,000 into $10,000, right, in a month and a half. So I knew there was something about this like Amazon thing, right? I was like, okay, like this is cool. But right after I graduated, I started working a corporate job, right? So I think many of you guys are, you guys just didn't jump into like doing Amazon full time. Neither did I, okay? So I balanced working a full-time corporate job while working on my Amazon business on the side. And in order to like really balance both, right, you're going to have to really learn how to like manage your time. And for me, that's where I hired my first team member from the Philippines, or like what most people call like virtual assistants. Okay.
I guess before you go into VAs, like how many hours were you spending on Amazon while working full time?
It's hard to say because I was working on my business at work, which I don't recommend doing. And then I had my team member actually helping me with like some of my corporate stuff, which I highly recommend you don't do either if that's against their company policy. But they would help out every once in a while because I realized that I needed to free up my time. Right, when you're working a corporate job, it's nice because you're not taking money from your Amazon business, but you're not able to dedicate as much time to your business, right? So building your team up and everything is super essential, and for you to have time to focus on the key parts that will grow your business instead of like the operations of customer service. Like I'll get like if you're like people are asking me like what color is this item and the listing says black, the picture is black, it's like you shouldn't be spending your time like replying to like certain responses like that. And then so for me I would say with private label thing I would say like I would get home. So I would work from like a 9 to 5, and then I would get home at like I would go to the gym at like 6 to 7. And then maybe from like 8 to like 11, I would be working on my Amazon business on the weekdays. And I did that for about a year and a half in my corporate job before I decided to leave it full time and start go full time into my Amazon business.
So at what point did you realize you could hire a VA or wanted to hire a VA in that business process?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So there's a lot of people like myself. You get to this point where it's like, do I really want to pay someone, like take more money out of my business to, just have someone work for me? Like, can I afford that, right? And the question is like for me, it was like I had to do that, right? Because the return on time with like having another team member, just talk to people about like following up about negative reviews, right? Or following up with customer service was more valuable to me than me doing it myself. Especially if you're trying to balance like a full-time job. Maybe you guys possibly might have kids here. So you have to really focus on like freeing your time up as much as you can.
So you as like working full-time, you weren't just going home after the gym, watching Netflix and just lounging around, because I mean it's very exhausting, right? You go to work, you're just your mind is drained, and you're commuting, you work out, so I mean you're already physically and mentally exhausted throughout the day. So like how do you like keep yourself motivated or to stay on track to dedicate those 2-3 hours into the business?
No, that's a great question. So for me, right, it all stems down to, at the end of the day, it's always going to stem down to your why, right? Like why do you guys want? There's a reason all you guys came up today, right? And it's usually for, 2 reasons. One, it's freedom, and then 2, it's money, right? And I think there's a big misconception where there's a stereotype where like money is evil, and I want you guys to really think about that and change that belief and say money is good. Money is good because it can change your life, and it can change the lives of the people around you, right? So for me, I realized my mom, she moved when I was 16 to Puerto Rico. Ever since then, I have grown up alone. She left me a house and car, thankfully. But my mom's, I always felt a little bit guilty because she was in Puerto Rico working really hard to financially support me, right? And it was just, I saw her once a year, and I still see her once a year. She's still in Puerto Rico, but I always felt a little bit indebted to my mom, to where it's like I want a better life for her, right? And she wants a better life for me, and now I'm like older, I'm like I can do something about it. And that's why like those nights after working a 9 to 5, going to the gym, like I was able to like really push and like talk to the suppliers at night, really push through with getting designs, right? And really offload the tasks I didn't like doing to like one of my team members, right? There's a couple I forgot what book I was reading, but when it comes to like running your own business, there's say there's these 4 boxes. On the top left-hand side of this box, you want to be working on the things that you are good at and you love, right? And then on this side of the box, it's like things that you enjoy doing, but you're okay. But this bottom half, right, of this square is the things you should not be doing. And that's the stuff that you're not good at and you don't like, and the stuff you're okay at and you don't like, right? So when you're thinking of things of how to, I think a lot of people are like, what do I give to my like team to do? Can I even have enough hours for like a virtual assistant, right? So those two bottom buckets are like really what you should be doing. For me, it's like I hate customer service. I think it's a very important part of my business, but I don't think I should be doing it on a day-to-day basis, right? So that's kind of how that works.
So, I mean, you come from like a pretty good background in the sense of like work, and I think you were in management consulting, right? So a lot of that thought process is like, how are you going to optimize everything, right? So I guess within Amazon, like what were the indicators within the business that you recognize that you're like, okay, yes, immediately, like this is what I can outsource or this is what I can automate? Because for me, myself, like I have a fear of like trusting a VA to be able to access a lot of like my Amazon account or emails or any of this stuff, right? So like, how do you determine that or find like a good person to trust or know what to like give them access to? How do you determine that?
It's a good question. You don't really know, right? You don't really know. But you have to talk to these people during an interview process and you screen them, right? And for me, I really prefer video conferences whenever I do any interviews. It does take more time. It's more intimate though, right? And for me, I like really knowing my team very well. I like knowing their backstory, why they want to be like on a virtual team and everything. And that's important to me.
Where do you find these guys?
So two ways, upwork.com and then onlinejobs.ph. So these virtual team members that you can have can range anywhere from like $250 an hour to like $10 an hour, right? So they're very affordable, and they're very, like they can be very loyal in my experience, right? Especially depending on where you're hiring from. Most people really recommend hiring from the Philippines. I think that's a great option. People in the Philippines are taught English from like primary school, right? So their English is really good. I tried I'm Vietnamese, so I tried hiring from like Vietnam, but like the English is horrible, right? And like I just can't really. I need someone that can just because an international team, everyone has to be able to speak English well. But I also found opportunities for like hiring people in South America at very affordable rates too. Anywhere from like $300 to like $600 a month, 40 hours a week. Yeah.
And a cool thing to keep in mind is like when you hire these people, you don't have to hire them for the 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of these VAs, they'll carve out hours where like, yes, we can dedicate 2 hours to you every day, and that's just if it's $250, that's just $5 a day for them to do customer support emails.
Yeah,
and
that's like you guys giving up Starbucks. Like you guys can like hold off on one Starbucks drink a day. Because they'll multiply your work output, right? And you'll be using your energy on things that make you happy, right? And you want to use your energy towards like, there's only so much energy you have in a day, so you want to be able to like focus it on like the key moving drivers of your business.
So with the team you built out, like, and I think what a lot of people want to know is like even finding a product, regardless if you've already started with 1 or 2 or 5, like how can you continue to find more products? Is that something you do? Is that something you outsource? Is there a process that you have for that?
Yeah. So every entrepreneur is going to have their own set of strengths and weaknesses within your business, right? And it's important for you to identify fast, like what that is to you, right? And the things you like to do and the things you don't like to do. So for me, I know one of the weaknesses within my business is figuring out what items I should sell on Amazon. And this is like one of the most important parts of selling on Amazon, right? If you don't choose a good product, right? It doesn't matter if your photos are good. It doesn't matter if your copy is good. It doesn't matter if, you have all the search terms like index. Like if you don't choose a good product on Amazon, it's literally the first domino, right? And if you don't knock down that first domino the right way, it can set you up for failure no matter what you do. And I realized early on that like, even though this is one of the most important parts, I'm not the best at it, right? So I really saw mentors, and I went to meetups just like this to really kind of like understand like what other people are doing. So within the Amazon space, for you guys that are newer to selling on Amazon, there's just like kind of I would say like this culture of where people don't say what they sell on Amazon. If you guys haven't experienced that, it's a real thing. So
They get super offended, like
Yeah.
super uncomfortable, like, oh, so what do you sell? I can't share that with you. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's definitely a thing. So when you do meet other Amazon sellers, the best way to approach it is kind of say like, what category do you sell in, right? And then, but don't ask like what exactly you sell, because like off the bat, if someone asks me that, I know they're like new to Amazon, which is totally fine. But don't expect them to like say like, oh, I sell this, you know. Sometimes people will, especially if they're more like big established brand. They're like, oh, I have this line of supplements.
And they know you can't compete with them.
They know you can't compete with them. They have this brand and everything. Supplements is a very hard niche to get in as a beginner, by the way. Yeah.
So because you aren't the best to like find products, right? So
okay,
do you have the VAs or like how do
Yeah,
you do it?
yeah, yeah.
Or what did you
So-
learn from these other meetups?
Okay.
and
Yeah.
other
So
mentors?
I learned from going to these different meetups that people had different criterias, right, for their products. And you know, as you meet everyone's criteria, there's no right or wrong way to sell on Amazon. But the more you learn about the different ideas or like, you know, methodologies that people have in the space, the more you can mold your own and build out certain criterias, right? So for me, I used to be very focused on like getting those home run type products. And what I mean by home run products are like one product that sells like $50,000 a month.
But not competitive.
No, but yeah, but
Not
not
competitive.
competitive. But
With 1,000% margins.
yeah, exactly. But so I used to go for like these home run products where they like sell a lot, like 50,000, 100,000 sales a month. But I found that over time, like in the past 3 years since I sell on Amazon, those products get way more competitive. So now, after, you know, meeting other Amazon sellers in the space and, you know, my partners / my mentors, Nick and Fernando of Seller Tradecraft, they're about to reach $16 million in sales this year. Their goal is to do $2 million in EBITDA, which is like basically like take home. And they do not go for products like that, right? What they do, and like what I started doing now, is I started going for these like products that maybe sell like $10,000, $15,000 in sales a month, right? But I just repeat like those kind of same products and I monopolize the keyword. And what I mean by this is a lot of Amazon sellers, right? And, you know, I was one of these sellers, and maybe some of you guys are these sellers, is like your goal is to be the first product on the first page of whatever keyword you're on, right? So say I'm selling toothbrushes. I want to be the #1 seller on the first page for the keyword toothbrush. Nothing wrong with that, right? But, you know, I think it's a very, I don't know if it's like an American mindset for us to always want to be #1 and everything like that. But you got to think about it like this. So a lot of people just want one product on that first page for toothbrushes. You got to change your mind to thinking, how do I get more products on the toothbrush page? Okay, so most people have one product on for a toothbrush, but why don't I launch like 5 products that happen to be maybe they're position 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2, 3. Why don't I take more real estate on that keyword, right? And
Are you saying create 5 different private label brands of toothbrushes to dominate that real estate?
Yeah, so that's the real estate you should be thinking about dominating. And I think that's a big thing that most Amazon sellers don't think about. They just worry about launching one product when this is like something we teach called the monopoly method, right? So to own a monopoly, you want to own all of the real estate, basically. So if you can, so Kleenex does a great example of this, right? So if you search up Kleenex or search up tissues, right, you'll see that at least like 9 out of like the first 15 listings are Kleenex. What they do is they have a double pack, they have a triple pack, they have, you know, 84 count, right? They have the square size, they have the ones with like Vicks, right, where it's like softer for your nose. They come out with all these different variations, but it's the same product at the end of the day, right? And that's where economies of scale kick in, right? I have one friend that like kills it. He sells testosterone boosters, right? And what he does is he launches it under. He has 15 different seller accounts, and he launches a different brand under each seller account. And it makes the consumer think is they have a choice, you know, between this brand or this brand. At the end of the day, it's the same ingredient. When you guys shop at, Walmart, Target, whatever, and, everyone here buys laundry detergent, I assume. No one stinks in this room. But when you choose between, say, like Bounty, Tide, Gain, they're actually all the same company. It's all SC Johnson, right? At the end of the day, you're given the illusion of a choice, right? And if you can do the same thing on the real estate of Amazon, then you can win, right? And that's why I want to change your perspective into thinking, right? Don't think about launching one product, but think about like how many variations you can just like capture on like one page, right? Or for multiple keywords, right? Another example is like we always talk about is like so there's like these food labels that you can put on like plastic containers that chefs use, and they're dissolvable. Like when you like wash them in water, they just kind of like melt off. And with those, right, what we do is like we have we have like a 2-pack. We have like you can make like a 2-pack, 4-pack, 500-pack, 1,000-pack, right? And sure, like look,
you can leave it on.
And sure, like the thing that's really contradicting about this, when you first do it, is you're gonna cannibalize yourself. Your best seller that's like the number one on the listing, like if you're number one for that keyword, dissolvable food labels, you're gonna get less sales, right? Because you're like launching all these other products. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're capturing. So people, like you guys have used like Jungle Scout before, and like it says like this person does like 5,000 sales, 6,000 sales, 10,000 sales. So usually people think about like, okay, I'm gonna beat that guy that does 5,000 sales, right? So why not just get like everyone's spot, right? The 5,000, the 6,000, the 300, 400, because they all add up at the end of the day, and it's way, 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 way less competitive, and that's the best part, like competition, it's a good sign of like you're doing things right and it's like a hot market, but there can be a point where it's like too much competition and it gets very stressful, right? Some of my like heavy hitter home run products, like I'm like constantly dealing with like, I'm pretty sure people like purposely giving me like bad reviews from my competitor. Sometimes they like to change my images. They'll go in like the Q&A section and they'll like mention like, oh, have you used this product versus the competitor's brand? I'm like, it's just rude, and that's what happens though when you deal with these high competition products. But if you're working on
so I mean this is like a pretty advanced strategy, right? So like how long would this whole process take, right? Like you launch your first product and you're like, all right, I'm gonna do my second Kleenex box. Like how long does that take? Like especially for people who are newer or just starting, like is it that they take the profits from the first product that they are getting it listed and then go buy more inventory, or is it that's the right point for them just open a second listing, right? How do you determine that?
So I've done both approaches. So sometimes I'm not really sure about the market, so I'll just launch that one product, and if it's doing well, I'll start launching the variations. But keep in mind, like all the variations, like they might not sell as much as that single product. But keep in mind, you're taking up more real estate, and it kind of like builds your moat in the space, right? And it like prevents competitors from really coming in. They're like, oh man, this keyword is dominated. This niche is like dominated by this guy, and it kind of scares them. And if you can prevent a competitor from even like wanting to source your product in the first place, then that is the best, right? If you can stop someone from like even wanting to like sell in a category, right, before they even like order samples, then that's like the best form of defense that you can have. But I have done the approach most recently. Like I'm about to launch in Canada, right? This one brand of beauty products where I'm just launching a 2-pack, 3-pack, 4-pack, just like right away, because I know the 2-pack is going to be the most popular seller, but I just have some units for the 3-pack and the 4-pack in stock, and I'm gonna have really good margins on them, right? I don't know if they'll sell as much as a 2-pack, but it'll still be really good margins, and it'll just trickle in, right? And that's how some of these variations are gonna be. They're not gonna sell a lot, but the margins on them are gonna be really good, and at the end of the day, they all really, really add up. Okay, so that's kind of like my approach to it.
So at some point last year, you had disclosed a product to me. I'm not going to say what it is, but when I had looked at it, like you were selling the product, you were launching it using external traffic, and I looked at it, you weren't even ranked on the first page for it. So I was like, why are you even competing in such like a very competitive space? And I think your listing was maybe on like page 3 or 4, but you're like, oh, because it's still selling. So I'm okay with even being on page 4. So is that still like a product that you do sell? Is that like a method like, oh, just go into a space that has so much like money flowing through that category that even being page 4 is okay?
Yeah, so on that product, I'm not page 4 anymore. I'm on page 1. So.
Okay.
But the important thing, and keep in mind, like I said, like I think it's a very American thing to always want to be on the first page, bestseller, Amazon's choice, #1 keyword. But if you're position 10 and you're still making money, then you're winning. All right. If you're position 9, 8, 11, 12, and you're still making money, the margins are good, then you're good, right? The competition is like the black hat stuff. They're not going to be focusing on you. They're going to be focusing on the first guy, right? And then you just have to worry about maybe launching a product in another niche, right? So sure, you might not be like making as much money as a #1 guy, but looking back at your journey, right? Maybe a month ago, are you making more money? Yes, right? So you got to just keep that perspective in mind. Like I think a lot of us always compare ourselves to other people, right? But when in reality, the race is just between ourselves, right? So just keep in mind that even if you're, like you're not doing that 10,000 in sales like the first guy, but you're doing, 2,000, 3,000, and you're still making money, it's good. It's a good sign. And it took me a while to really understand that. I was like, oh, why am I not #1 on the first page? And after meeting like Nick and Fernando, and they're like doing on track to do $60 million in sales, I realized that like I was thinking about it all wrong. I was like, I am winning. It's like I was just being a little hard on myself, and I think that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah, I mean, even to when I first met you, I think you had just quit your job. Like you didn't even realize that like you could afford to leave your corporate job because you were already doing so well, relatively, right, compared to everybody else. So that's pretty incredible, right, in terms of like how you're doing it. So something for like the newer people, at least we're just getting started, right? Like you guys are out there looking for a product, and I think most information you'll find out there now is like, oh, you have to find a differentiator or how you can tweak the product. Is that something you do or recommend, or is there something else that as a criteria when you do look at products to launch?
So if you can make your product different in any way, in a more premium feature, by looking at the negative reviews and then improving your product, of course you want to do that. Of course. But one of the easiest variations that I do is I just sell 2. I'll sell a 2-pack. I'll sell a 3-pack. I'll sell a 4-pack. I'll just literally double up, because the way the Amazon fee structure works, right? And this is something I learned throughout my journey too, right? Is that if I sold a 2-pack versus like someone bought 2 of my single packs, I'm going to get hit with more fees for selling 2 single items, just because of the way the Amazon fee structure works, right? And especially if you're competing with people who sell products, say like sub $15, or especially like sub $10 for like a single pack item. If you come in with a 2-pack and it's literally the exact same item, and all your competitor can do is lower their price, what they're going to run into the issue of becoming an add-on item, right? And if you're an add-on item on Amazon, it's like a death sentence. Don't let that happen to you. What an add-on item is on Amazon is when basically your Amazon item is priced so low that Amazon forces the
customer to at least spend $20, $25
in order to buy that product,
or like get the Prime shipping and stuff, right?
Exactly. And you never want your product to fall on that. So like I'll use that strategy against my competitors sometimes. I'll like just do a double pack, and I'll see them just like try beat me on price. But the way the Amazon system works is if they try to compete on price, they get turned into an add-on item, and then it just screws them over, right? So I just kind of like trap them in this like little box, right?
Is there someone here who turned into an add-on item?
Yeah.
You're like, screw you, Anthony.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely happens, but so it's just the more advanced sellers also will realize that another big way to like just really outdo your competitors, especially if you're doing like things that can be like oversized, right? So say if we were selling like this camera
tripod thing
right here. Yeah,
it's an Amazon product,
right? But maybe this person who was selling it shipped it in a box this size, right? They're going to get charged large, oversized fees. Okay. Some of my best Amazon products were like, how do I fold this in half? How do I work with the manufacturer to just make it fold, right? How do I work with the manufacturer to just like make it collapsible, right? Because if you can turn this large, oversized product into just a small, like, because there's different categories for on Amazon of like for storage fees and how much you get charged, right? When you ship things from Amazon and to Amazon, right? And if you can just knock it down one tier compared to your competitors, you're going to be like instantly like having way better margins than them, and then like you can heavily compete on price, you can heavily compete on PPC, and it takes a while for them to catch up, and they might not even realize it too. So
it was a good transition. You mentioned working with the factories. So like how do you find these factories? Is there a different method besides Alibaba? Do you well, I know you go out and visit the factories, right? But like for beginners and people who are intermediate, maybe they haven't gone to their factory. Like, how important is that to you as part of this entire business process?
all right, just curious, I have a show of hands, like who uses Alibaba? Yeah. All right, if you guys aren't raising your hand, you should use Alibaba, to be honest. It's the easiest way to just really find manufacturers to sell on Amazon. I know a lot of people always ask, like, how else do you find them, right? At the end of the day, like in terms of like the 80-20 rule, Alibaba is going to be like your easiest bet when you're doing it yourself, right? If you speak Chinese, then maybe the second best site is probably like 1688, and that's what my sourcing agents will use, right? So as you start growing in the Amazon space, or even if you want to kick off like, the number of products you can source fast in the beginning, you want to get a sourcing agent. So for me, like, I realized like one of the things that was holding back like my business was I would talk to someone in China, contact them, and then I would get a quote maybe 48 hours later. But in that whole time, I was like, I was thinking like, okay, well, we would probably do a 2-pack with this, 4-pack with this, but I get a quote back, and the margins just don't fit my business, right? The criteria doesn't work. But those 48 hours, I'm just like, oh, okay, like this might be a good product. And I think a lot of people get hung up on that process. I know I did, and I didn't realize it until I saw other Amazon sellers in the space, right? And I asked them what they did. So the more quotes that you can get for these different ideas that you have for private label products and the faster you're going to find profitable items, okay? And that's where a sourcing agent really, really like comes in and helps. I think a lot of people starting out, start with, just searching by themselves, and that's completely normal. That's what I did. But as soon as I accidentally got a sourcing agent, and he became like my best friend in China. He's like my right-hand man in China. My business dramatically like went a lot faster because I was able to like get quotes and then just get samples really fast, and then just move that whole process a lot faster. Because I think in the whole process, getting quotes is kind of like one of those things where it's like kind of like a pain in the ass. Some of the suppliers there's a lot back and forth. It's like, oh, what color do you want? What size do you want? How many do you want to order? What's your MOQ? What are the shipping terms? Things like that. And like, it just changes all the time. And that was it was like the second key hire I had in my business, a sourcing agent.
So how do you figure out a pricing structure to work with a sourcing agent, right? Like, is it like how do you configure it to play into your margins? Is it supposed to be a flat fee per search, per product that they bring in? How do you configure that?
Okay, so at the end of the day, the best way to get margins when working with a sourcing agent is to not work with a sourcing agent. So unfortunately, what I mean by that is when you work with sourcing agents, there's different ways they can get paid. Some of them get paid a flat fee, right? You pay them like $600, I don't know, like $1,000 or $2,000 a month. But, like they could be getting kickbacks from the factory. It's just the nature of the business. Like, you don't know, like say like they tell you like, you can get these microphones for like $10 or $1,000, like you don't really know if like it was $9 and they just like marked it up for you, right? At the end of the day, I mean, ideally you trust them and they don't do that, but it can be a common practice, for that to happen. But if your margins work at the end of the day and they're happy, the factory's happy, the quality is good, then just roll with it, right? And that's like one of the ways. Another way that's also popular is the percentage model, which can really bite you in the ass once you're like growing bigger and bigger, right? And a percentage model is like, for for if the PO is up to like 10,000, we take like a 2%. The sourcing agent just takes a 2% cut like off the top, right? So that can add up really fast, including like reorders and everything too. Ideally, flat fee is the best, but if you want to protect your margins and you have the time to do it, then maybe hiring like someone like either in the Philippines or here to like source your products is going to give you the best margins if you like go directly to the factory yourself, right? There's been times like throughout the year that I will go ahead and get my team, like I'll do it like every 6 months. I should probably do it more often, but every 6 months, like I'll have my team go source the same items that we're already selling ourselves versus like what the sourcing agent got for us. And sometimes we'll find that we get a better price than what the sourcing agent gave us. But the sourcing agent saves us so much time. We don't have to deal with the back and forth, a headache of working with some suppliers. Some suppliers are like huge headaches.
So it's like an audit process.
It's an audit process, exactly what it is. But I learned in business real fast that like you don't want to be talking to too many people on like a weekly or even daily basis, right? The more people you're talking to, the more like time and energy you're spreading yourself thin, and that can be like very bad for business, in my opinion.
So you pay your sourcing guy a flat fee now, or?
Yeah, so now I just pay my sourcing guy a flat fee. I don't really know if he marks it up, but I'll tell him, like, sometimes I'm like, dude, this quote doesn't work. Like, it doesn't fit our margins. And he's like, all right, that's fine. And then he was like, I'll keep looking, right? But this guy, like, that I work with, that's my sourcing agent. I worked with him for, like, the last 2 years now. I visited him in China twice. He drives me everywhere when we go to China. He takes me out to eat, arranges the hotels. We meet all the suppliers. Translates everything for me, so at the end of the day, if the numbers work and he's taking a cut off of it, like, I don't really care because it's so streamlined that like I have better things to worry about in my business than like try to like nitpick for like every single dollar out of his pocket, so I'm sure there's better approaches to it, but that's just one perspective, right? And you guys got to learn all the different perspectives that there is out there and what works for your business.
So part of your journey, or at least when I first met you, you actually had some like softwares like built out that helped you automate some of those processes too. Are there, like, how did you like figure out like, okay, these are things that should be automated or like more streamlined, and then like, are there other tools that you would recommend as part of your business strategy for Amazon?
Like when it comes to sourcing or just in general?
Yeah, sourcing, research and all that stuff.
Yes. All right. So software at the end of the day is going to be a very competitive edge for like any business, right? And as I met more Amazon sellers, I don't know. I've always been like very cheap. I'll use like torrents to like get free stuff, get free ebooks and everything. But like the first time like I ever paid for a software, right? It was I paid for Jungle Scout, product sourcing software. There's a couple different variations of it, but I realized like when it comes to business that you're gonna have to invest in some things, right? You're gonna have to pick and choose like different softwares, right? So FeedbackWhiz, OFX. There are a lot of different options on the market, right? But what I come to realize is that like I really don't want to spend time figuring out what the best software is, right? So I just ask my friends, I'm like, yo, which one should I use? And then I just use it, right? And I'm going to tell you right now, like, if you want email review follow-up software, FeedbackWhiz is great. Okay, if you want to sell, like, online in, like, foreign countries, such as, Canada, Europe, and, like, just have, like, a easy bank account to set up, like, OFX is, like, great for that, right? OFX is going to be like more advanced, like if you guys are selling internationally, most people don't have to worry about that right away. There's also a huge headache sometimes selling internationally. Like I'm going through an audit with that in Europe, and it's taken 8 months. So like I'm just like kind of really annoyed at the UK market right now. But in general with software, right? In the beginning, I think the software stack for any Amazon seller should be some sort of product research tool, right? So Jungle Scout, Viral Launch, right? And then for private label, you also need a keyword research software. So there's Zonwords, Viral Launch also has it, and then Helium 10, and then Seller Tools, or like the ones I would say are pretty good out there. And then you also need like email follow-up software, right? So there's FeedbackWhiz, and there's a couple others ones out there too, right? So that's basically the primary software stack, right? Those three. Once you get more advanced, then you can start investing in different ones, but don't get caught by that shiny object of like, I need this software, I need this software, need this software. Because it really starts to add up. I was doing the math on like the overhead of like all my softwares that I use and, the monthly subscription. And then, we're almost like getting like 1,000 a month in like just different softwares. And I'm like, I was like, it's just all going towards software, but that's just the nature of the business as you get bigger, right? And you can afford to use some softwares to like save time. So for me, if the softwares like save you time, save you energy, and manipulating the data yourself, then that's when it's like a key investment. So
and that's where you can use like a VA to like bring that data in for you and kind of teach them how to clean it up. So I know a lot of more advanced sellers here are probably wondering the new tactics to drive traffic, to get more sales. So do you have a huge emphasis on not even relying on Amazon's organic traffic or their PPC, and you're driving them from somewhere else, like Facebook advertisement, chatbots is a huge thing?
Yeah. So for those of you that are like more new to the Amazon space is basically if you sell a product on Amazon and you're not on the first page, then you're not going to get as much traffic. Like how often do you guys go to like page 2 of Google, right? How often do you guys go to page 3 of Amazon when shopping for a product? Like never, right? Unless I don't know, it's sometimes maybe, but very rarely. So in general, you have to launch these products to get on the first page of Amazon. And in order to do that, there's a lot of different methodologies out there to doing it. So like using PPC, which is like Amazon's like sponsored ads, is one way, right? But the most popular way that still works, right, is doing like giveaways, right? The idea of increasing sales velocity on Amazon, right? So part of Amazon's A9 algorithm is that in order to, Amazon will decide like where you are, like on like whatever keyword, what page you are. And the part of that process is one of those levers, I would say, right, is your sales velocity. So a lot of sellers want to manipulate that within the first 45 days of selling their product because there's this like special window that Amazon kind of gives you to like test your product, right? So Amazon's always running tests and like they'll put your product more likely like in different spots. And if it converts, like the conversion rates are high, then it'll start moving you up the different keyword pages. When it comes to these launches, like there's some softwares such as Viral Launch, Zonja, Rebate Key that help you get to the first page. And if you're starting out and the competitive is the niche isn't too competitive, that's one of the ways.
Is it a huge investment to do the launch?
Yeah, it can be a huge investment, right? So what a launch entails is basically giving away the product for free for like a certain amount, right? You can be giving away 300, 1,000 units away for free. More advanced Amazon sellers like myself, like what we do now is we combine like Facebook ads with like ManyChat to really save money on those costs, and we combine it with what we call a super URL, right? So super.
I was gonna ask what a super URL is.
Yeah. So super URLs on Amazon is a iffy area right now, and there's good ways to use them and bad ways to use them where it can like hurt your ranking on Amazon. So what super URLs generally do is you can have like the URL to your product, your Amazon listing product, but you can attach keywords to the end of it, right? So you can say I'm selling those toothbrushes and I want to rank for the keyword white toothbrushes, right? So I can send Facebook ad traffic through that super URL, and the super URLs always change, right? There's different ones that change all the time, and what you do is once you send traffic through it, it like boosts it more, right? It hits that lever a little harder on Amazon, and it tells Amazon that like when people search for white toothbrushes, they're more likely to buy this item. So it starts ranking you higher on those pages. And that's kind of like the gist of it from a high level overview. There are a little bit more nuances of like setting it up and getting it working, but that is a very, very, very popular strategy right now that people are using to save money on like launch services and kind of start building an audience, right?
I think a lot of the people now are using chatbots to even get these launches going now compared to the other launch services.
Exactly. And it's more, I would say, like advanced Amazon sellers, but I think it's like something, there just hasn't been like too much education in the area about like how to use these softwares because, or how to like combine all of it. Because there's like, a lot of like technical like coding that you have to do yourself. It's not coding, but like piecing it all together that you have to do yourself. There hasn't been too much education around it. But like I'm starting to work on some more education around it and just like sharing that with like everyone within my audience of how to do that.
Yeah, and if you guys aren't in the Seller Tradecraft Facebook group, that's where he posts a lot of his content and the things that are on YouTube as well, especially with this new launch strategy. I think you had just released like a playbook too, to kind of walk them through this new strategy. That's out there.
I like release like the most simple way of getting started with it because I want more people to just like start getting used to the idea of it. Because the thing with Viral Launch is like you just plug in your ASIN, you plug in some keywords and coupon codes, and like that's it. You pay them $300. But with the other ones, like you have to like set up ManyChat, you have to set up Facebook ads, and then you have to do all those things too. So it gets a little bit more confusing to people that haven't gone through that process before. But it's well worth it in the long run because what Amazon does not allow you to do is you can't collect customer information. Right, and what I mean by that is when you are selling on Amazon, Amazon doesn't give you your customer emails, right? So you can't remarket to these users. What's nice about launching products through like Facebook ads and everything and using ManyChat is that you can start building an audience, right? So it's like kind of sorting. You can collect emails too, but ManyChat allows you to just add subscribers, right? So ManyChat... all right, who in this room is familiar with what ManyChat is? Okay, cool. So what ManyChat is kind of it's like this bot that communicates with you through Facebook Messenger. Okay, so it's like what a lot of marketers are considering the new version of email marketing. So email marketing 10 years ago, right? Like all of us when we got an email like 10, 20 years or whatever long ago.
It's very exciting, right?
It was super exciting. We're like, oh, we got
Screw the snail mail.
Yeah, what is this? Like you would open it up all the time, right? And open rates like back in the day were, I don't know, like 80%, our emails would get clicked. And then like the links in the email would be, I don't know, like 30% click-through rates, okay? Nowadays, in terms of like email rates, like you're getting an open rate of only 33% compared to 80% back in the day. And then the average click-through rate is like 3% compared to like 30% 10 years ago, right? So Facebook Messenger bots are literally what email was 10 years ago. Open rates for me are like 80% plus, right? Click-through rates are 30% plus. This is like amazing. That means like basically if I have a Facebook chat bot list of like 100 people, it's better than, I don't know, like 1,000 emails. Right, so it's just like because more people open, more people click in on it. But eventually, marketers will just spam us through Facebook Messenger so much that we learn to hate it, and it'll get killed like email. But
not yet.
Yeah, but not yet. So if you're smart, you're gonna hop on the bandwagon now.
All of us can do that.
Yeah, exactly, and we can all do that. So that's what ManyChat is, and I really highly recommend you guys like consider looking into that. And then that's like one of the things I'm really pushing like my audience to like go learn more, and I'm like constantly trying to educate myself with that, and I'm running like different just tests within my business of like, okay, this works, okay, this didn't work. But yeah, it's a really cool like new, I don't know, technology that everyone's still like trying to figure out like how it works. It's probably only been around like for me at least like 2 years that I've known about it. So
I do want to wrap this up soon and then open it up to Q&A. For you, you're already hitting 7 figures. Obviously, like at what point in your business did you really see the difference that accelerated your business, and like what was that a few things that you did to finally hit that momentum?
It's a good question. So for me, so back this time last year, I had just started a partnership in a new business with my partners Nick and Fernando of Seller Tradecraft. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, if you guys can't hear, just let me know. So I started a new business with Nick and Fernando, and like seeing their business doing like $14-16 million a year, I realized that they had a team. All right, so depending on your goals, if you want that $16 million a year company, you're not going to get there yourself, right? You can definitely get to $1 million a year in sales by yourself, right? But you're going to be
Extra full-time.
Yeah, you're going to be a full-time employee to your business, right? Versus just being a business owner, okay? So just keep that in mind. And then for me, at the beginning of this year, I started focusing on really hiring great talent for my team. I realized that by watching Nick and Fernando that they will interview like 25 candidates for like one single position, right? But now they have an HR team that kind of helps them with that, so it's a lot faster. But I realized that they really focus on hiring like the right people that are like a really good fit at a really affordable or competitive price for their business, right? So I started doing that, and one of the ways that has really been successful for me is poaching. So don't do this in my business, please. But poaching basically is when you go on LinkedIn or you see that like this virtual assistant works for another Amazon company, and you're like, hey, can I interview you? Like, we're looking for the same exact position within my business. Maybe you offer them a higher salary. Maybe you offer them a better company culture. Maybe they're not. A lot of people are unhappy with some of their employers a lot of time, which I found. And what you do is you just sell them on your vision, and you sell them on your company culture. And a lot of the times, like, these people may jump ship and join your vision, right? And join your team if it's really compelling enough, right? And they like the story. So when I interview people, I don't really ask about them like right away. I just talk about myself and the company for the good first like 15-20 minutes, and I sell them on the idea of like
you're like you're doing some big things and
exciting. Yeah, I do big things, and then like this is what we want, right? This is what the team wants, and this is our vision, right?
Be a
these
part
are some
of it.
Perks, yeah. And then right once they start interviewing with you, and if they really like that vision, they'll kind of sell themselves to you, right? And they'll work harder to get through that interview, and you'll see it. You'll know like when you talk to these people if they're like a really good fit for your business. And this year, it's like I'm so happy that I've gotten these like new team members that like are really like dedicated to like pushing things and starting initiatives that I don't even ask for, right? I'm like, yo, that's a great idea. Or they'll come to me and they'll come like, yo, why aren't we checking our inventory age, on like every single month, like to see how old our inventory is, right? So we can stay more lean. I was like, great idea. How do we do it? And they're like, I'm not really sure, but I saw these articles. I'll get back to you, right? And, when you have those team members where you don't have to tell them what to do, and they're really good at Googling, right, just looking things up themselves, it is such a wonderful feeling of just being able to, like, let go, sit back, and focus on other parts of your business, right? Because at the end of the day, last year, I think a big mistake for me was I was working in my business all the time, right? And this year, I've been really focusing on everything that I have done, like more than 3 times, I'll create a SOP for it, right? An SOP is a standard operating procedure where it's really literally instructions on like how to do this task. And I'll jot down the steps, and then I'll record videos using the software called Loom, Loom. So what the software does is it records you through your webcam, it records your voice, and it records your computer screen, right? They say that every 1 second of video saves you 8 seconds of typing, right? And I think it's really true. And especially with a virtual team, it's just easier saying like, click here, go here, blah, 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 versus like saying like, click on manage, or like click on manage inventory, and then taking a screenshot, putting that. So just having videos are really, really key.
And then if they have a question, you're like, rewatch the video.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. And then I'm getting to the point now where like some of my best team members are creating their own SOPs for the rest of the team. And it's like, like it's so nice. Super, super nice.
It's your own YouTube channel.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah, look it up in the database.
Yeah.